One of the most valuable lessons I learned this year as an entrepreneur is that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. In this video today, I'm talking to my younger self. I'm talking to my present self, and quite frankly, I'm talking to my future self. Because earlier today, I went on school and I was in another community, and that community leader had shared a post saying that he had joined into a mentorship program where he paid them a lot of money and they were teaching him the exact same things that he teaches his students. And he wasn't pissed off about it. He didn't think, man, I got ripped off. This was a waste of time. It actually struck him as comical because he said, I teach this to other people, and yet I personally needed to be reminded externally from someone else. And so the reality is, we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So, Marlon, I want to give you some reminders right here. And if others are watching, if you're like me, you're going to get value from this. So this video is really for entrepreneurs who are looking to, if you're just getting started, make your first six figures. And if you've been in business, you want to get to that 7-figure mark. I've been able to do both of those things. And now I'm lucky enough to be able to work with other entrepreneurs as a coach. I work with them as their business coach and their mindset coach, and I help them overcome levels. I help them concentrate. I help them focus. And I'll talk more about that as we go in. But Marlon, here are some of the lessons I want to remind you about. Lessons that you already know. Let's go to the whiteboard. The first thing you need to always remember is point number 1. And let's go ahead and make this green. Money. You're in business to make money. And that money comes as a result of solving problems for people. It doesn't matter what business you're in, every business makes money by solving problems for people. And when you start to lose track of that, when you start to forget that, and you start to think in terms of anything else, you're moving away from the puck. Money chases value, and value comes in the form of making somebody else's life better. That means somebody has to have a problem. They're either in a problem of pain or they're in a problem of a lack of pleasure. Those are the only two things. People are either moving away from pain or they're wanting to move closer towards pleasure. And once they're aware of these things, it becomes a problem in their life. You have the opportunity to solve that problem in exchange for money. Never forget that. Don't get caught up thinking about how do you make yourself money. Get caught up in thinking about how do you solve somebody else's problem. The second thing I want you to think in terms of is this. I don't want you to stress out. So don't stress over your problems. What do I mean by this? Marlon, do you remember when you were first getting started in wholesale? You were so desperate and so anxious to make money because you had just gotten let go of all of your jobs. There was a global pandemic. You weren't making much money before you got let go of your jobs. And then being on unemployment, you really weren't making anything. And all you kept thinking about is like how to get your first assignment deal, how to make money, how to make money, how to make money, how to make money. And in those phone calls you had with those sellers, with those homeowners, with those real estate agents, you had commission breath, man. It was written all over your body. It was in your tonality. It was in your thought. It was literally in your molecules that you cared more about making money for yourself than you did care about helping a person through a difficult time. And as a result, do you remember the 6, 7, and 8 months of struggling to get your first deal? And do you remember when you finally got it out of your head that you're going to be okay, that even if you're not making money, you'll survive, you'll be all right, and let's just focus on solving a person's problem? And you met Lorenzo Games, the seller that sold you 2 properties, because you cared, you really talked to him, you really heard about his problems, and you weren't stressing over your own situation. You weren't concerned that you were just some 26-year-old dude, 27-year-old dude at home in your mom's house with no background in real estate and no real estate experience. You were just concerned that Lorenzo had a problem and that you knew how to go and get the solutions for him, and you knew how to help him out of his situation and how to put him in a better position. Marlon, when you stopped stressing about your own problems and you started concerning yourself about your clients' problems, your prospects' problems, that's when you started making money. That's when you started transacting. That's when the marketplace started to open up to you and you started to gain a new level of understanding. And so I want to remind you again, don't stress out about your problems. Your problems will get solved if you focus on solving other people's problems. I promise you that. If you go into business and you don't concern yourself about your bank account, but instead concern yourself about your customer's bank account, which is how do I put more money in their bank account, not how do I take it. If you're the person that puts more money in their bank account by either solving a problem or showing them a new and better way to do something, I promise you your bank account will be filled. Now, the third point I want to remind you of is this. Point number 3. Your experience, or I should say lack thereof, is actually irrelevant. I'm probably going to spell irrelevant wrong, but it's all good, right? That's why I'm speaking out loud. It's irrelevant, and irrelevant spelled incorrectly, whatever. I want to remind you that your personal experience is irrelevant from the standpoint that nobody cares if you had a degree, right? Again, let's talk about Lorenzo. Remember when you did that deal with Lorenzo? Lorenzo didn't say, do you have a real estate license? He didn't ask you how long you've been doing property. He didn't ask you how much money you had in your bank account. He didn't ask you for your credit score. And he sold you 2 houses, one of which he let you take over his mortgage. That's major. Because it wasn't about you. It was about him. It was about his problem. It was about his life. Marlon, you're a coach now. You coach other entrepreneurs, and you've been able to do some amazing things. Look at what you did with Alexis. Look at what you did with David. Look at what you've done with Maj and Victor, and look at what you've done with Caroline. Like, you've done amazing things for a lot of different people, and that's just a few of the names I'm going to mention. And every person that you helped in a serious way, every person that you've worked with, they're making more money as of today because of you. They made more money this past year than they've ever made as a result of you caring more about their financial situation than you caring about your own financial situation. And they didn't care about what your credentials were. No one asked you for your college degree. Good thing, because you don't have one. No one asked you for your finances. Nobody asked you for what certifications you have. And so I'm here to remind you that those things are nice but not necessary. What the most necessary thing is your actual ability to solve the problem, the actual ability for you to do the things you say you're going to do. If you're going to talk a big game, that's all good. Just make sure you're willing to back it up. Go and back it up. And that's your reminder today. And so, Marlon, I'm going to remind you of this. Right now, your focus, for lack of better terms, I'm going to call you one of 2 things. You are a life coach. You are a business coach. And if any of you watching this with me, you're in the same boat, you do the same sort of thing, pay attention. I think this is going to be a good, healthy reminder for you. As a life coach, as a business coach, as a mindset coach, I use all of these words interchangeably. Personally, you don't have to, I do. Life coach, business coach, mindset coach. That's what you do, Marlon. And ultimately, you solve a big problem for your people. What's that problem? Well, you work with entrepreneurs who are earning 6 and 7 figures annually. You're not working with people who are brand spanking new, who are just getting started in business. You're letting those people season themselves up a little bit. They're going out, they're learning lessons, they're gaining experience. There are other people that serve that crowd. You work with the crowd who's been in business for a few months. They've gotten some traction. They've made some money, but now they're stagnating. They're stuck in place. They've bought all the courses. They have all the mentorships, but they don't seem to be able to produce the results. They have all the resources, but they're not producing the results. What's their problem? Well, let's talk about that. You've identified with your clients that you've produced the best results with. They have this problem. And let's go and color it purple. I like the color purple. Purple is the color of royalty. Let's go thicker. Lack of focus. Would you believe that the biggest problem your clients have, it's a lack of focus? I'm reminding you that the biggest problem, the number one problem, is their lack of focus. It's the reality that they will start one project, start taking it, stop, start another 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 project, start taking it. And now it's been 12 months and they've got nothing to show for it except for frustration and confusion. It's their inability to focus. And you show them how to focus. You train them on how to focus. Look at what you did with Caroline. That girl had ADHD, and she, within a single year, started making more money than she ever made. Her net worth went up by over $700,000 in a single year by working with you. Look at Maj, being all over the place, being distracted, trying to run multiple businesses at once. You literally sat down with him face to face and you got him to focus on his single business, and they went and had their record-breaking revenue month. Marlon, you teach people how to focus. Improve their lives by getting them to focus. I'm reminding you of this right now. And if you guys are watching this and you're an entrepreneur that is lacking focus, I'm telling you right now, the secret to your success is for you to lock in. It's an equation of less is more. You're going to do more by doing less. So that's number one. That's the biggest problem that you see, is your entrepreneurs have a lack of focus. The second biggest problem you see, Marlon, with your entrepreneurs, with your clients, with your customer base, is this: the limiting beliefs. And this one blows your mind. And I'm reminding you of this so you don't forget how important it is for you to serve these people. There are entrepreneurs out there who are making over $1 million a year. There are people that you currently work with. There are clients. Think about your Wednesday calls. Think about some of the guys inside of your Wednesday call. You know them. You know their finances. Some of them are making over $1 million a year. And this is their number one thing holding them back. It's holding them back in relationships. It's holding them back in building their business. It's holding them back in satisfaction and joy. They're making more money than most people, than 99% of the population, and yet they aren't able to enjoy it until you start to show them how, until you start to show them how to change their self-image, until you show them how to shed the limiting beliefs. I'm reminding you of this, Marlon, because you have a service that you need to bring to the world. You have a service that a lot of people need, and you're not for everybody. I'm reminding you that too. You're not for everybody. But these problems are waiting for you to solve them. So the final thing, the final point I want to remind you of is you help people, your 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, you help them produce results. At the end of the day, measurable, tangible results in their life. You help them be able to say, I started here and now I am here. I didn't have this and now I have this. I cannot emphasize that enough. So, Marlon, this video, come back to it as often as you need to. Remind yourself as often as you need. I'm making this video public so that you can hold yourself accountable, and so others who are in a similar boat who need to be reminded, because the truth is a lot of our audience, and I'm talking to us, Marlon, I'm talking to past, present, and future Marlon, a lot of our audience, they are just like us. They're on their entrepreneurial journey. They're wanting to get better. However, they haven't had the time. They haven't had the privilege to be able to study personal development. They haven't had the privilege to sit down and study the greatest founders through history, to be in the rooms that you've been in, to have the coaching that you've had, to pay for the mentorships that you've had, to have the experiences in business that you've had. And by sharing, you're able to help them along their journey. So keep sharing, keep solving problems, and I look forward to seeing what you build in the future. Love you, man.